service. Will you please state your name and where you live?
John Dwyer. I live at 7 Burchard Avenue in Hoosick Falls, New York.
How long have you lived in Hoosick Falls?
All my life. I was born here. I'm 73 years old now.
I see.
Born in 1926.
All right. Before you went into the service, tell us a little about your life in Hoosick Falls.
Well, like everybody else in the late 30s and early 40s, when 1941, when the war started, everybody was pretty patriotic about everything, and that was the main thrust of life back then, at least in my time.
Yeah.
I graduated from St. Mary's Academy in 1943, and at 16 or 17 years old, and when I became 18 years old, I enlisted in the Navy.
In the Navy?
Yeah.
All right. And was anybody else enlist with you when you went, or did you go all alone?
No, I went all alone. That just so happened that way.
All right. And so when did you entered the Navy in
1944.
1944. All right. And then while you're in the Navy, would you give us a little timeline of what you did in the service? Where'd you go? Where'd you get your training? And
well, I
what
went
did you do?
to Sampson Naval Base out in the middle part of New York State for boot camp, boot training, and then attended gunnery school in Rhode Island and one in Florida. And I was assigned to a new aircraft carrier in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and we started over.
What was the name of that book?
USS Bonhomme Richard, and it was one of the largest carriers at that time.
Yeah. What was your job on the carrier?
Just a seaman at that time, just a seaman, gunnery.
Gunnery?
Gunnery man. And then before we got too far, we went through the Panama Canal, and I had the opportunity to switch to a destroyer, which I thought I would like better than duty on a carrier. So I switched to a destroyer at that time down in Panama.
I see. And what was the name of the destroyer?
USS Baldwin. Yeah.
And where'd you go on the destroyer?
We went over in the what they call the Asiatic Pacific Theater, but it was mainly off of the China coast, Formosa, which is Taiwan now, and that was right around the time of the kamikazes. It was not near the end of the war, but probably the last third of the war, and so it was.
Did you see any battle or anything?
No battles. Just I got over there on the very tail end of it when we saw many ships being towed away, leveled from the kamikazes. That's about the.
I see. And then they shipped. Then you came home.
Yeah.
And where did you get discharged from?
Let's see. Discharged from. Well, let's see. That's out of a base in Long Island.
Oh, a base in Long Island.
Yeah.
When was that, Jack?
1946.
1946.
Yeah.
All right. And then what did you do when you got discharged?
Well, I come home, and of course everybody. Then we had the GI Bill, and I was going to go to college and do many things, but I had gotten married just before I went in the service, and so then we started having a family, and so that kind of cleared college. And I worked locally for the Woodlawn Corporation, and
how many children did you have?
Five
sons. Children.
Yeah, 5 sons.
And who'd you marry in Hoosick Falls?
Eileen Bagardis.
Arlene Bagardis.
Yeah, and she was a native of Hoosick Falls also.
I see. So, and then, now I know you were active in the village government recently.
Yeah, I served as a village trustee for about almost 10 years, and just recently resigned.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say? That we're going to keep these tapes here at the museum for many years. Like to talk about Hoosick Falls? Or?
Well, Hoosick Falls, I feel bad, like a lot of people, that small towns can't remain like they used to be, but with the advent of the malls and so forth, it just hurts small places, and it's an awful battle to keep things on an even keel. It's mainly in small places now. Right. But that's the way it is all over the country.
Well, Jack, I thank you. Now we got the permanent record. We know you're in the Navy. You're on an aircraft carrier, you're on a destroyer.
Yeah.
And came back and you've lived in Hoosick Falls all your life.
Right.
Well,
So,
thank
thank
you.
you very much for the opportunity.
Well, we thank you for coming. Thank you very much.